What's going on, everybody? We are back 3 days in a row, back to back to back to back to back. ABJ Podcast. There's actually more happening that you guys aren't seeing. The days that aren't going live, I'm still recording for future episodes. We'll talk about that in a moment. But we are back, episode 76 with Big Dan Champion. Super excited for this one. This guy, been a fan of for a long time. Worked with him at Camp Leapfrog. I just missed a boat with him in PPW, but he's there now, killing it. Been to a lot of different shows. We'll plug and talk about all those later in the episode as well. So stay tuned for that. All my guest links are down below. Make sure you support, as well as the links for ABJ. Anywhere you find me on social media is there. Merchandise, some new logos just dropped. The I'm a Paul Heyman guy inspired shirt just retweaked a little bit to be more inclusive. So instead of I'm a Paul Heyman guy or girl, it says I'm a fan of ABJ, which is hilarious. And then Real Small Podcast, because you know the bit. So that's out there now. So a lot of cool things. We rehashed some old logos that used to be in my old network that you can see now. So tons of stuff to use to support. Anything that you guys do now when it comes to donations, Patreon, merchandise is all going towards my trip that's coming up at the end of the month. I will be in the UK for my first ever major wrestling show I've ever been to. I've never been to a pay-per-view. I've only been to a Raw and a SmackDown. And my first show pay-per-view I'm ever going to go to is going to be All In Wembley Stadium. Wembley Stadium is my bucket list venue of all time. And the fact that it's a wrestling show happening there, the fact that it's AEW, which I'm a huge fan of, is happening there. And plus, it's going to have probably my favorite wrestler one of my favorite wrestlers of all time in the main event. Hope to God he wins the title. And also, it's going to be the largest drawing wrestling show in the history of the world. It's really, really close, and I think they're going to do it. And it's just magical, and I'm super happy. So huge thanks to Raz and Anastasia for helping me with that trip. I'm pumped. But anyway, and also, thank you to our sponsor, Suplex Vintage Wrestlings. Guys, it has finally happened. A whole store fully dedicated to vintage wrestling. They said it can never be done, but I have seen it with my own eyes. Suplex Vintage Wrestling is a store curated by wrestling fans for wrestling fans. Located on 5th Street in Philadelphia, PA, just one block south of South Street in the heart of Queen Village. Their shop features the largest collection of vintage wrestling apparel under one roof. Their selection includes classic designs featuring your favorites from the wrestlers from the Golden Age, Attitude Era, Internationals, Indies, and more. And if you're tired of watching your premium live events at home, SVW hosts the best watch party since your friend Kyle's birthday party when you were 12. And if shirts and watch parties aren't your thing, let's not forget their selection of figures, replica belts, trading cards, and their t-shirts and hats of the rare wrestling memorabilia. They have something for every wrestling enthusiast out there. So what are you waiting for? Check them out at suplex.svu on Instagram or at suplex.svw.com to let them satisfy your nostalgia wrestling needs. All right. Housekeeping's out of the way. It's time to get big. I picked I think it's a Cardi B song. I don't know. I don't know a lot of new music, but I only know is a song says you got big energy, and I thought it was hilarious, so I used it as the thumbnail, and it's just short. I thought it was funny. I probably should have used Bruce Springsteen, but I'm sure we'll talk about that in a minute as well. But without further ado, let's bring in the biggest guest of the ABJ podcast, Dan Champion.
What's up? Hey,
what's going on, bud?
Have you ever been in that Suplex store?
I have, yeah.
It's awesome.
I love it.
A great guy.
They reached out to me when I was at probably my lowest point. My car just broke down. I lost my job. I was struggling really hard, and they're like, "Yo, we've been watching your content, and we want to sponsor you and help you out." And they have been they never met me from a hole in the wall. And I went out there a couple times, hung out with them. We have some stuff planned in the future, but they are sponsors of the podcast, and they're really, really good humans.
Good guys.
Yeah, love them to death. But how you been, man?
Everything's good.
So we first met at Camp Leapfrog,
right?
And then did a couple shows there and hung out, and it was really fun. You did a great job, and then just kind of crossing paths here and there in the wrestling world. But you've been around for a minute. You've been doing this for quite some time. You've accomplished a lot. So right now you probably say what's your home promotion that people can see you at?
Yeah, my home promotion is definitely LVAC, Lehigh Valley Athletic Council out here in the Lehigh Valley. We do about maybe like a dozen shows a year, maybe a little less than that, but they're all a great time. We have a big one. Our WrestleMania is coming up September 16th at Steel Stacks in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania at the Arch Quest building. Right now, they have Music Fest going on. They made it the biggest music festival in the country. And right after Music Fest, we're there. So that's very exciting.
Are you doing the indoor one again, like the same place it was last time? That venue is super. I missed it, and usually every time that something's happened with that, I can never make it. the one year I was in Vegas and my buddy was sending me pictures of him at the show, and it was funny because he took a picture of the draw that day was Orange Cassidy, and he took a picture of him in orange, and I sent him a picture back on Snapchat of me in Vegas wearing my Orange Cassidy t-shirt, and he wrote, I guess he said, like, my buddy's in Vegas wearing your shirt. He goes, I don't care, you should be here. That's all he said to him. But yeah, those shows are so cool. They did a drive-in show, a brewery show, the Steel Stack show. The venue's always changing, and the venues are kind of like mashing other things together with pro wrestling, and I think it's genius.
Yeah, so nothing to take away from anybody, but just wrestling like in a VFW hall or something like that, that's okay. But if you can pair it up with some cool, like last week we did it at Coca-Cola Park before an Iron Pigs game. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We run at a social club called Socals, which is like a bar that's open till 3 a.m. You know, it has character. The building has character. I'll say that. So those things are cool. You know, those things are really cool. Yeah,
the one I went to was Avery Good's farewell show, and it was unbelievable. The highlight to me is when one of my favorite wrestlers I've grown to love, BP is the biggest fan of him. Ultraman is Black's band. They're side of the stage, and then they just started playing, and a fight erupted, and the band just kept playing the whole match, and it was awesome.
Yeah, that's fun. That's a lot of fun.
But if you are in the Northeast PA area or the Jersey, New York, and you want to take a ride down, follow LVAC on all social media. I'm telling you, their shows are amazing. Another cool thing about those shows that I got to learn about myself is I don't mind vegan food. A lot of vegan options. They're big vegan supporters there. I had a vegan donut. I had vegan cookies. I had vegan pretzel. No, it was not pretzel. Pizza I had. And it was all amazing. And it didn't, I never knew or thought I was missing anything else. I feel like if that was a more bigger option, I would probably lean more that way.
Right.
Yeah, but it's just I can't go to the store with my laziness, and I can't cook, so it's hard to be a vegan, I guess. But well, let's dive into it, Dan. When did you fall in love with the business of professional wrestling?
Right, my earliest memories. You know, my dad tells a story where I would tell people that was Hulk Hogan when I was like 2 or 3 years old. So before I really have memories of watching pro wrestling, I was into pro wrestling.
And then you were always a Hogan guy?
You know, until recent, yeah. You know, as a kid, yeah.
I never bought into it. I never got into the baby faces.
Oh, see, I loved Hogan.
I was a savage guy.
You're conditioned that way as a kid, and growing up in the '80s, the late '80s. So he was everywhere. I had his poster. I had his toys. I had everything.
Yeah, the late '80s, my dad was into the fan clubs were a big thing. So my dad got me into the Michael Jordan fan club, the Rusty Wallace fan club, the Hulk Hogan fan club, and I believe there was another one. I just forget what it was. So I didn't learn about sports. I learned about this is the person and this is the industry they're attached to.
Yeah.
So I remember I had all this Hulk Hogan stuff, and then I started watching. I was like, I don't like him. And my dad's like, he's like the Jesus of pro wrestling. I'm like, I like that Macho Man guy. I like the guy in the kilt. I picked all the bad guys. It was like a thing to start wrong on my kid. Like the heels, I'm cheering. I'm like, yeah. Until Jake bit Macho Man with the snake, I bawled like a baby because I like Jake's too, but he literally, I think that's my conditioned fear to snakes at an early age. But so yeah, do you have any memories growing up of like some shows or things you did?
Sure.
What are some of your favorites?
So I guess one of my earliest memories is my mom calling in to QVC to get us WWF trading cards. And, you know, sometimes you call in and they're like, hey, do you want to talk to the guest? She's like, yeah. So she talked to Macho Man.
Oh, my God.
He gave a shout out to me, my brothers. So that was cool. My first independent wrestling show, my first WWF show was in Allentown at the Stabler Arena.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Bethlehem in the Stabler Arena. And that was right near the beginning of the Attitude Era. So I think the main event was Bret Hart and Psycho Sid against Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, something like that. And then my first independent show was at my high school when I was in 8th grade. And the independent show just blew me away. It was awesome. And then right at that point, I was like,
Do you remember who was on it?
Tito Santana was on it. A guy named Judas Young. Light and Mike Quackenbush was on it. Tiger Mulligan. And then just a bunch of like other indie guys. But it was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
They did that a lot in our area too, on our side of the mountain in Pennsylvania. And the very last show, and I think this was the last show I can honestly remember in my brain, and it was so crazy, and they did such bad things in this show that they just put the word out, like, no more wrestling, because it was always in schools, like your school had it. And they did a no holds barred, any false count anywhere steel cage match, which I don't even know why they built the cage, because neither one of them were going to climb it, and neither one even used it. And it was Terry Funk versus Abdul the Butcher, and they bled all over this school.
That's awesome.
First 3 minutes, the fork came out, kick in the stomach. Terry Funk pulled it out of his hands and buried it in Abdul's head. And the women and children screeched, and they all ran for the door. Like, half the arena left, because as soon as they got out of the cage and they were bleeding everywhere, people just running for exits. And I'm there like, this is awesome. And that was it. That was the end of professional wrestling in our area in schools. I don't know who ran it, what the promotion was, or how they got it together. That would be the things I'd like to know, is like, who ran the things that, like, because you didn't, like you said, do you remember the promotion's name or anything?
Yeah. It was EWF, Eastern Wrestling Federation.
Okay.
And
that's
ISPW, awesome. I think ISPW is still around, but it was like a joint show. So I do remember. I have the poster somewhere, so that's probably why I remember.
That's so cool. Yeah, that was huge then. And like I said, I completely fall off independent wrestling forever then. I just didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know how it worked. I was just a kid who just went to shows and just didn't know what to expect. But that's why branding's important, because, you know, it sticks in your head. Now kids, you go to a wrestling show and the branding's there and like, oh, I remember going to insert wrestling company name here, because they do a better job at it. So when did you transition? Actually, before I ask that, growing up, were you into sports? What kind of person was Dan in school growing up?
Yeah.
Like what crowd did you fit in?
I was big into sports, watching and playing. I wasn't the like big athletic guy you see today. When I was in high school, I was a little bit skinnier. So I played soccer and I played basketball all the time. But, you know, I don't know if I really had a crowd. I just had a group of friends that
you just got along with everybody.
Yeah.
What were you Pennsylvania, born and raised, like the Allentown area?
No, I was born and raised in a town called Phillipsburg, New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Which is very close to Pennsylvania. It's right across the river, so it's pretty much Lehigh Valley.
Yeah.
But my high school class had myself, Orange Cassidy, and Lucky 13. We all graduated the same year.
Really?
Avery Good, professional wrestler, graduated the same high school year ahead of us. So our high school has a lot of influence in the pro wrestling world.
You guys are like the new version of what's the school in Minnesota that everybody went to?
Yeah. I guess.
Shit. We did a whole episode on it. I forget the name of the school. But like Rude, I think Perfect.
Yeah.
Vern Gagne was like the wrestling coach there. I cannot remember the name of that school, but it was like a high school in Minnesota where like 16 wrestlers came out of. That's insane. I actually see my first Lucky 13 match at Smashmaster. He's so entertaining. He's so good. He's really, really good.
Really good.
So were you guys always that crew? Was that your crew growing up?
Yeah.
Even with Avery, even though he was a year older than, did you?
No, I never really hung out with Avery in high school. He was more the kind of guy that would go into like the woods and drink. He was like a popular kid. He was too busy talking to girls, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't really start talking to Avery, who, right now I'm not talking to him. Right, he's kind of a piece of shit in my book right now.
Yeah.
But when we were friends, I met him the first time in our early 20s, at a bar in Phillipsburg. And we got talking, and I got him booked on one of his first independent wrestling shows, a long time ago.
So you broke him in? I
don't know if I broke him in, but I got him booked.
You got the ball rolling.
I guess, he was one of these guys that just wrestled in Allentown. And I kind of got him out of that area a little bit to different places.
Yeah.
But like I said, now he repaid me in a way a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago. So I guess he forgot about the.
camaraderie.
What I did for him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucked up. But when did you Robbinsdale? There it is, Robbinsdale High School. Joey Image with the save down there. Appreciate that. So when did you transition from high school sports, the whole nine, and decide, did you go to college? Did you start working right away, or did you just say, hey, I'm going to jump right into this wrestling thing? How did that change?
Yeah, I went to wrestling school right when I was 18. Right out of, I might still been in high school. In high school or that summer after I graduated, I don't remember. But I worked, and I went to community college at that time, and I was going up to Northeast PA to train a couple days a week.
Okay. At school? Or is it the one the one that's not spoken? Yeah. My bad. I'll just say, here's my take.
We're probably not talking about the same school.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
I went to Backbreakers. It's just a shitty school.
Oh, well, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
a lot of fun talents come out of Backbreakers. I'm a fan of them. I thought we were talking about the promotion / school.
No.
It sucks everything that happened, but what happened with talent and storylines there, I'm always going to be a fan of, because it set a whole that bar that was set by that talent is essentially what we're watching on TV right now.
Absolutely.
I'm sure we'll talk about that in a moment, but so when did you transition? So you got training there. Did you move then, because you were a part of that promotion at some point in time, right?
I'll just say it. I wrestled for Chikara like 3 times.
Yeah.
And so it's funny, before they got really popular, I had maybe like 3 matches there. Then they got popular. And then so at one point they wanted me to be an ant.
That would have been awesome.
when some of the other ants came along, like Missile Ant, and I was supposed to be like Arctic Ant or something like that.
What's the big ones? Aren't they like bull ants or something like that?
Yeah, it was supposed to be something, but what happened was I was told I needed to buy like a helmet that was $1,000, and I think I was like 24 at the time. I just didn't have like $1,000 to pay for a helmet, so I didn't get that spot. But then after their peak, I did like a couple more shows for them, like maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So I wasn't in like Cool Chikara. I was like in the other other parts. But that's fine.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, that whether you're part of the beginning or anything, that they're very influential, and a lot of cool things have come out of there.
Yeah.
So around those times, were some other places you worked, and what are some matches that you had that just really stick out to you early in your career?
My very first match was against Matt Turner.
Really?
Yeah. And we're talking 2003, 2004.
That's awesome.
Somewhere along with there. You have to remember that when I first started wrestling, there wasn't social media. It was hard to get out. It was hard to get noticed.
Mm-hmm.
So I think some of my early matches that I really liked was one against Avery Good, probably like the early or the mid 2000s. We had a match.
What character was he at the time?
He was Sean Hayes.
Okay.
Sean Hayes, yeah. So
he has Mick Foley and all those other characters blown out. He has like 8 different characters.
He does. So we had a really cool match in Allentown for LVW for Bud Carson. So that one was really fun. I had a lot of fun matches in the place called. So me and Orange Cassidy used to be a tag team. And Lucky, we were called the New Jersey Independent All Stars. And we had so many fun matches when we all first kind of started breaking in down in a place called GBW, which was ran by a dude named Greg Excellence, who was in CZW for a hot minute. But that was so much fun. It was a lot of fun. So those are some of my better early memories. We wrestled in Canada pretty early. That was fun. So yeah, those were my early memories. The fun matches I had.
How did you land the character of Dan Champion, and where do you pull the idea from this character from?
Sure. So for a long time, I was Danny Rage, and it's such a stupid name, and it's not even a character. I was just a dude.
Yeah.
So one show, it was a wrestling is fun show, and Ref Bryce came up. He's like, "You're Dan Champion now." So he just kind of said it. I think it was in the works with Orange Cassidy. We need to think of something new. So a wrestling fun show Dan Champion came out. So that's where Dan Champion was born. And I don't know, I just pull stuff from every little place. My character.
Joey Image misses Danny Rage.
Yeah, everybody misses it. Sure.
I like the fact that Bryce came up with that. That's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know if he came up with it, but he's like, on the show, you're Dan Champion. And I was like, well, I guess every show from now on, I'm going to be Dan Champion.
Yeah. One of my favorite heckles was to you and Bryce at that LVAC show when you're like, oh, my beer. And I said, tell him his beer sucks. Yours was better at Pilguru. And he just looked at me. He goes like, yeah. Because you guys came out with the beer this like almost the same time.
Yeah.
You're probably like, I got a beer made about me. And he's like, yeah, I got one too. That was a fun heckle. He's a good guy, very good guy too.
Yeah.
How does now? Here's a question, and I'm not trying to I don't want to word this wrong or make it come out wrong, but when you're in this industry as long as you have been, and you've been around so many people that you've been around, and you see them hit the where they're at now, is it insane? Are you obviously you're proud, but at some point do you get any do you get down on yourself? Is that because this mental game of professional wrestling where you feel like you hit walls and you're not getting there where you need to be? How do you navigate that?
No, maybe if it happened in my 20s, it would bother me, but it happened later in my mid 30s.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was over. At that point in my mid 30s, I'm like, I know what I am. I'm not gonna get signed.
Yeah.
So no, I was, and I had a career then. I had my own career.
Yeah.
Outside of wrestling. So I was very content where I was at, and and then it was just cool seeing your friends do well. So I never had any kind of jealousy, or I was never frustrated.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking of a jealousy thing, but everyone, obviously it's you're trying out for the team, you know what I mean?
No.
And everyone makes a team, and you kind of maybe you didn't, and you're like, oh, how do you? Because that's something that would probably oh man,
yeah.
I gotta figure something out.
No, when everyone started, when not all my friends, but a lot of my friends started getting signed and blowing up, I was already 35, so I was okay with it.
Yeah,
I was very content, and then to be honest, in my own little way, I started getting noticed. I got out of just wrestling in Pennsylvania, New Jersey. I got, bookings with AIW. I got bookings like Black Label Pro. I got some really cool bookings, and I started even now I'm getting used a lot more than I ever did. So I'm just happy with that. I'm just happy still to be able to still do it and kind of, have some kind of relevancy.
Yeah. If people who have never seen you wrestle before were to say, what type of style are you, or who are some people you emulate or try to pull from as your style, who would they be?
No, I really like Davey Boy Smith. I like big guys that have some agility. Mike Awesome, Davey Boy Smith, Vader to a certain extent. Those guys, always enjoy big dudes that can move. They're just not a big dude.
Yeah. One of the ones that come to mind, my mind immediately, just because you guys are both that bigger statue size, but you were both athletic. Brody.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. So when have you always leaned more to the tag team side and the stable side, or do you enjoy doing the stuff maybe solo as well? Where do you have a preference? Do you prefer to be solo or tag team or stable?
Oh, right now tag team, since I'm old.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
And you just recently won tag team championships at PPW.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Are you anywhere else that you're holding any gold?
No, there is. I was for a while the PWE heavyweight champion, but I lost that a month ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm as of now I'm the PPW tag team champion.
There it is. I'm bummed I'm not there to watch that. Are you guys? I don't know the character. Are you guys good, bad?
Oh, we're a couple of bad fellas.
Good. I love that. Heel Dan Champion's the best. Your run as a heel and Leapfrog was my favorite because you come out and you were still goofy. And I think you and Abby tagging was so fun. When you guys would do stuff together, because it was just so polar opposite. And you pick her up and use her as a weapon. It's great. Who are some people on the scene that you haven't worked either with as a team, or are people you would like to, or people who you would like to square off against?
I think my dream tag team partner is Filthy Tom Lawyer.
Okay.
Does it for me. I don't know why. We really have nothing in common. I just think he's awesome. He's awesome. Josh Bishop. He's great. I really like him.
You tagged with Rex before, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably in LVAC. I had a couple of tag matches with Rex. I just wrestled him a couple days ago. So I've done a lot of stuff with Rex.
Yeah. Another big guy, very athletic.
Big guy, athletic for sure.
Yeah. Futs that category. Any other matches out there that you always wanted that you never had a chance to get? Like, who's the bucket list?
Mance Warner. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I'm sure there's hundreds of people I'm missing, but those are the ones that really stick out. Logan. I've tagged with Logan.
Yeah.
But he's awesome.
Very good. Where's he at now? Where's he wrestling out of?
I don't know.
Yeah, he's from the Baltimore area, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I haven't seen him since leave. I always thought he was insanely impressive. I thought he was really, really talented.
He does VCW Virginia Championship.
Okay.
Wrestling. And
yeah, he's super good.
Fight Pro.
Another guy too, underneath the mask. Why? I was like, why are you wearing a mask? Like, you're a good looking dude.
Oh, Logan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's handsome for sure.
Yeah, handsome man. What are some outside influences that you developed or incorporated in the character of Dan Champion? So when you were said, hey, you're Dan Champion now, obviously you had to spin something into that. What did you pull from when it came for that character?
As a heel, nothing really. It's just a more amped version of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
As a babyface, it's gonna sound weird, but a lot of things I do are things I've seen Bruce Springsteen do in concert, like a lot of the interaction with the crowd and things like that. So I pulled that from outside of wrestling into what I do as a babyface. But as a heel, maybe like Mike Tyson, like his attitude in boxing, or like a Randy Moss from football, like some of you just thinks like they're king shit.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So you pull a lot from like cocky, very arrogant, but very good sports athletes.
Yes.
Interesting. That's a cool development, because like some people like, oh, I try to emulate Kurt Angle or this person,
right.
And you pull from outside of that, which is super cool. I like that. That's a different way of looking at things. Nice. So outside of professional wrestling, what are some of your hobbies or some things you like to do?
Oh, I like going I like hitting up hitting up breweries. I like doing certain classes at the gym. I like my Peloton. I enjoy live music, hanging with my friends, traveling.
Peloton. What one do you have?
The bike.
The bike? Yeah. I want to get the rowing machine.
Yeah, that looks fun, right?
Yeah. It's you have to pay monthly for that? Is it like a monthly subscription?
There's a subscription, but I think I think once you buy it, you get like at least a year free.
Okay. I'm gonna look into it, because I don't think they're insanely expensive for the rowing machine.
Right.
And I think it folds up real nice. I don't know. I want to do like a full body thing, so I think the rowing machine would be a lot of fun. Brewery wise, what are some of your favorite craft breweries, or just beer in general?
So there's a place in Bethlehem called Bond, which I love. Bond Brewery. There's a place called Bouldergeist in Easton that's pretty good that I like. Treehouse, that's like a major one. I've had some Treehouse. Love Treehouse.
That's like that's one for people who don't know. Sorry to cut you off there. Treehouse was they have two locations now, if I'm not mistaken. Their first location, you have to buy a ticket, and you can only have like one beer, because it flows so much and they get so much traffic, and it tripled the population of their small town. They had to add more stoplights. They had to put like a person to direct traffic. Like, this one brewery just exploded this small town that never had it before, and they make insanely good beers. Like, people travel from all over the world to go there, and then they buy like thousands of dollars worth of beer and bring it home. Like, if someone's going on a Treehouse run, they're like, oh, get me this. Yeah. Like, it's a big deal.
Stuff. Yeah. Love City in Philly is really good.
I haven't been there yet. Love City.
Next time you go to Suplex, I think you can walk to Love City from Suplex.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good. That's good to know. That's good to know. I might be there a lot more often soon. Once again, Hunter, following you on social media, says Dan is insane when it comes to chugging beer. I've seen it on his Twitter.
Oh yeah, that's one of my talents. I can chug. Yeah.
I can't do it. What's the trick to it?
I don't know if there is a trick. I think it's just one of those things you can do or can't do.
Yeah. And it sucks, because when you can't do it, you feel so ashamed when you're around people and they're like, look what I can do. And you're like,
what's wrong with you?
You're like ready to throw up. You're trying, it's dribbling down the side of your face.
I don't have a beer in my fridge. I don't think. I would do one right now. Yeah. I have a seltzer. I can chug a seltzer.
Is it possible? Like the TV stat doesn't get you?
I'll be right back.
Yeah, let's do it. We got Hunter. You have prompted a Dan Champion beer chug, and while he's gone away, make sure you check the link that's popped up there right there on your screen for all things ABJ. Check out the link tree to do that. Who's in the chat here? There you go. I'll ask that when he comes back. Great question, Raz. He did go through some of the wrestlers he liked to face early on in the podcast, so you can check out the replay for that. Yeah, keep the questions coming, everybody. I appreciate you guys for asking them in. We got a seltzer.
I have a seltzer. This is just like floating around my fridge.
I love that.
It's the last one I have, so I'm not a big fan of it, but for your podcast,
I just had the
for the people.
The Arizona peach iced tea one. I normally don't like I liked it. I normally don't like the Mike's Hards and the twisted teas. I think they're too sweet, but our Arizona one was really, really good.
Yeah, I'm not usually a big fan of these. Like, I like seltzers, but like these spiked iced teas and like ciders, not really my thing. But
real quick, just for reference, hold that can up. You got the Andre effect here. Look how big his hands are around those cans. Dan is a very large man.
All right, here we go.
Here it is for the podcast. Gone. We got a big man chug on the podcast.
There you go.
Now, do you do the shotguns too?
Not really. They never like go off right in my mind. Like,
yeah,
I can chug in a glass. Shotguns I can do, but like, if you don't do it right or if it doesn't open the correct way, it's a mess.
Yeah, I also just like craft beers, and a lot of craft beers are so insanely expensive. So I'm like, why would I chug that? Like, give me a Miller Lite or something.
Beers.
Yeah,
Tony Deppen used to get on me all the time. He's like, "Why are you chugging that? That's like a $9 beer." Why not?
Deffen would know. He's been around beer a very, very long time. So style of beers. What are some like your go-tos?
I was a big IPA guy for a long time, and I do like IPAs, but the past couple of years, I've moved more towards like, and it's also seasonal. Like in the wintertime, I love a good porter.
Yeah.
Nothing.
The darker beers are tough for me. Like that tastes like coffee.
I like that.
Yeah, I don't.
So in the wintertime, porters, I still drink IPAs in the summer. It's just like, I feel like that an IPA, like, maybe because of the hoppiness, is like what really has to do with hangovers the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So if I drink IPAs all night and I'm drunk, my hangovers will be horrible.
Yeah.
If I drink like ales and lagers and things like that, it won't be so bad. So I've been like more into like the ales and lagers, and things like that. Like I still like an IPA, but like I can only have one or two.
Lagers, ales, and pilsners are my go-to.
Pilsners are good too.
Yeah, they're especially when they're craft beer made. When they're made at a craft brewery, they're just better.
I'm not big into sours. I actually don't. I find
Heartburn City. I usually get so when I go to Deppen's Brewery, because their wall changes constantly.
Yeah.
I have my go-to beer that I'll order, and then I'll do like samples of the new beers just so I can say I tried them, and then I just do the little pours and I try them, and then I'm off to my go-tos. But yeah, the sours taste good, and they hit all the flavors they're going for, but it's just that gets me the bad acid reflux.
I do love Bloody Marys. That's like my go-to drink.
Deppen's Brewery does. I think they're Wednesdays. They do a Bloody Mary day where they just, or it might be on Saturday or something. They do like Bloody Mary thing. Yeah. Bree kills it. She's a big Bloody Mary person. Have you tried the Stone Cold beer yet? Well, there's two. There's an IPA and there's a lager.
I've tried the IPA.
Yeah, the IPA. It's good. All right. It's a little expensive for the IPA, but I think the lager is better.
Yeah, I haven't had the lager yet.
This conversation makes me feel bad for loving Rolling Rock because it's not fancy enough. There's nothing wrong with dirt beers. I live in it's technically still craft, but I'm a Yingling guy. My favorite's Lord Chesterfield, and it's only made in like a small little area. That's my go-to beer, and it has the same characteristics of a Rolling Rock. It has that dank, skunky.
yeah. Like I had Rolling Rocks, bro. So there's no other way to put it. It tastes like skunk beer.
Yeah. Well, and then certain IPAs, depending on the style, I say they smell like cat piss.
Yeah.
The cat piss smell. Any other, like, when it comes to like wrestling at a brewery, what are some breweries that you think would be awesome if they hosted wrestling events?
Oh man, well we did one. I did one at Love City. So that we had a great show at Love City. I wrestled Ultramances there last fall. So that was a lot of fun. It's hard to say. Most breweries I've been into couldn't hold a wrestling show.
Yeah, that's the problem.
We did a wrestling show there, but
are they still open?
What's it, Weibacher? Yeah, they closed and they reopened, so they have new ownership now.
Good.
I'm wrestling at a brewery on Saturday for Rad Pro Wrestling.
Okay.
In Massachusetts. I wish I could give them a good plug right now, and say what brewery it is, but I don't know. I forget.
All right. Okay.
Now that I'm thinking about more of it, I don't even think it's at a brewery. I think it's just at a bar.
Oh, okay. That's even better. Beer and wrestling should always.
It's at a place that serves booze. That's for that, I'm sure. I forget if it's a brewery or not, but I did a show at a brewery. I did a show at a brewery there. Their first show for Rad Pro, which is a promotion of Northeast, in the Northeast, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a smoked beer, like the hops were smoked.
Yeah.
And it was like one of the most interesting beers I ever tasted. It was different.
Have you ever heard of Snitz Creek?
My favorite, but it was like just something different.
Yeah, Snitz Creek makes a smoked beer, and they smoke I don't know if they smoke the beer or the barrels it's put in or something, but they smoke it in like a meat room, and it's called like the meat beer, and it has like a meaty, smoky taste.
Yeah, that's what this was. Yeah,
they call it lemon and bologna beer.
Oh shit, I love lemon.
Yeah. It's called Snitz Creek. They have, so if you're ever in that area of Pennsylvania, or if you're coming this way, or wherever a show together, I'll try to get some, and then I'll get it to you.
I appreciate it.
There was a really good question here earlier. I missed it. Oh, what has been some of the best music concerts you've ever attended?
Oh man, well I've seen Bruce 5 times. I'm gonna see him next Wednesday and probably next Friday. So Bruce tops it all. The best Bruce show I've been at was in 2016 or 17. He had his longest U.S. show. So if you know anything about Bruce, he plays some long ass shows.
They go long, yeah, I heard.
So I was at a show that was like 4 hours and 3 minutes long, and it was like a lot of rarities, a lot of stuff like B-sides, like stuff like a hardcore fan from like me would like love. So that was my favorite Bruce show. Other than that, I saw. I'm not a big Foo Fighters fan, but I saw them and they were good.
You're not a big Foo Fighters fan?
I mean, they're okay.
That's my favorite. That's probably my favorite.
That's your favorite?
Yeah, but also to be fair, I don't get the love for Bruce Springsteen. Yeah. I listen to his music and his hits are okay at best, but like it's either you're a Bruce fan or you're not a Bruce fan. And when the people who are Bruce fans are like. They're like deadheads. Like, they're like,
oh no,
like when you said you only seen them 5, I'm like that's rookie numbers. You gotta pump them up.
Yeah, I got into them later in life, so I missed like a bunch of years of going to shows. But yeah, I saw the Foo Fighters like when Dave Grohl broke his leg. So he was like in that wheelchair or that
throne.
Thing. Yeah, the throne. So that was really good. What else show did I really like? I saw the Wallflowers, and it was really, really good. That was kind of recent.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to be good at all. I just kind of went to go, and it actually looked really good.
Well, where you're at up there, right, is like you're in the Lehigh Valley area. There's tons of places to see music and go do things. Yeah.
So right now, like I said earlier, it's Music Fest, which is like the most amazing time of the year. There is the Shutdown Like Bethlehem, and they just have different plazas or big ass tents with different bands for 12 days.
That's awesome.
So
that's all Steel Stacks?
What's that?
Is this all at Steel Stacks?
So a part of it's at Steel Stacks. That's South Bethlehem. And then in North Bethlehem, it's like they have a bigger area where they shut everything down.
Is that more where the casino is?
No. That's more like, I don't know if you're familiar with the area, but there's like a Hotel Bethlehem. It's like the main strip of Bethlehem.
Okay. I went to Steel Stacks once during I always say when the last time they won but they always seem to pull it out and win it, but maybe not this year. But when the U.S. women's won when they won the World Cup, and they just dominated. Like the final game, they were up by like 6 goals within the first. Like we were looking for parking, pulled in, and it was like 4-0. and they just dominated. But that was we went to Steel Stacks. They had the big projector on the side of the.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
And then the place was just packed with people and fireworks and smoke bombs. That is such a cool place, man, and they do such a good job putting stuff in there. It's a really good venue.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Our home at LVAC is always going to be so cool. It's like that dive bar.
Yeah.
That's where we had our first year of shows. That's like our spot. But Steel Stacks is just like another level, like how accommodating they are, how like nice and beautiful like the ring looks. It's really special, really cool there.
Any more drive-in shows before it gets super cold?
No, we only do one a year. So
yeah, that one already happened.
This year got rained out.
That sucks.
Yeah, so
that was really cool. Was it you and Ultra Menace, right? We're on the
yeah, we were on the sign last year.
On the sign, yeah. That drive-in is that is I always tell people who are not from our area people from outside the area are huge fans, especially horror community people. That's a very sought after venue because I was in Denver and this girl's like, yo, you're from Pennsylvania? Like, she goes, I helped crowdfunded when they were like almost going to lose the property. She's like, because it's a dream to go to, I'm like, she's like, what? I'm like, what? Like, how do you know about this? Because it's like, they do horror stuff all the time there and it looks really, really cool. And the art of a drive-in is so, I guess outside of the Pennsylvania northeast, like the northeast side of the map, like drive-ins are not a thing anywhere else. Like people are like, what is a drive-in? Like I was like, are you crazy? We had like 6 of them in our area at one point in time. But yeah, it was really, really cool. I'm glad they do the wrestling stuff. What were the movies that were going to play this time?
The movie still played. It was El Santo. It was like some lucha libre Mexican movie from like the 50s. El Santo versus somebody. Dr. Wagner. I don't know. It was like one of those like lucha libre movies. I think last year was They Live. Beyond the Mat.
Okay.
The Wrestler. And
No Body Slam.
Urban Commando, something like that.
Urban Commando with Hulk Hogan. Yeah.
I think those were the 4. I could be mixing up other years too, but
yeah,
those 4 movies definitely played at some point during the drive-in series.
What's that?
Those 4 movies definitely were played somewhere in the 3 years.
Yeah,
I don't know if I have them all together in the right year.
Now LVAC is for people who don't know. We'll kind of dive back that for real quick. No title belts. No, it's just kind of like you show up, you get some fun matches together. It's
a different vibe. Yeah, it's totally fun. I mean, there's storylines. There's storylines, but there's no belt. It's not that serious. It's very loose.
Yeah.
We don't take ourselves too serious.
It is a lot of fun. Where in the world would you like to wrestle besides the places you've already been?
Oh man.
That's our Australian watcher right there. So he always hints that because he wants people to say Australia.
I'd love to wrestle in Australia. There, anywhere that would pay, like any place out of the country that would pay my flight. That's where I'm going. But that's the one kind of downside about wrestling is like last weekend I was in Pittsburgh and I'd love to like hang out in Pittsburgh, but it's like you go there, you wrestle, you drive back.
Mm-hmm. I never got to experience this any town I ever did commentary or production with because you're in working and you're driving home 4 hours again.
I'm going to Cleveland in a couple weeks. It hasn't been announced yet, but I'll be in Cleveland in a couple weeks, and it's like the same thing. I'm trying to figure out like maybe I stay in Cleveland for a day and like check some stuff out. Instead of
there's a lot there, right? Depending on where you're at, like the Baseball Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll, all there. Not baseball, just NFL and rock and roll.
Yeah. So I'm hoping to check that out. But that's the one thing. Like you go, like I tell people who aren't into wrestling, oh, I went to Cleveland, and they're like, oh, what did you see? I'm like, maybe a gas station, like nothing.
I got a Slim Jim at a gas station. Also, if you're in the area, there's a brewery. It's big in that area. Fatheads Brewing. All right. But I think they moved to Pittsburgh too. They're in the pit. They crossed over from Ohio to PA, but definitely check them out. They make some good beers. So besides, the music side of things, and is there anything else that you're into? Are you a gamer, TV guy?
Yeah. I have a PlayStation, but I don't really play it too often.
Okay.
Just at like downtime. TV, I watch like old ass shows. Like I watch Seinfeld a lot.
You like binge watch the classics?
I've been like Curb Your Enthusiasm. I love.
Have you ever seen the documentary about Curb Your Enthusiasm, how it saved a guy from going to life in prison?
I know that I haven't seen the documentary, but I know the story.
It's crazy. That show saved a guy's life who was essentially racially profiled, and they were trying to pin a murder on him.
Yep.
So nuts. And he happened to be sitting. Look up the documentary. It's bananas.
Yeah, I know the story.
Every time, I've never watched the show, but I only know about that show because of that documentary. Yeah, I do the same thing. I turn on Netflix and I watch The Office, Always Sunny, Parks and Rec.
Those are all great.
Married with Children over and over and over again.
I could watch any of those. Yeah.
Now, besides I want to go back to the music real quick. Are you more into the rock? Or are you into a little bit of everything?
I'm into a little bit of everything for sure.
Yeah. Is there a concert that you want to go see, or a band you haven't that you want to?
No.
Nothing stands out.
Nothing like I need to see this.
If you were able to go to a concert of anyone alive or dead, and they hand you it, and you could pick the ticket, who would it be?
Bruce.
You're a psycho. You could pick Zeppelin, the Beatles, and you're Bruce Springsteen.
Oh yeah, I 100%.
That's the love of Bruce Springsteen fans.
Like 80s Bruce Springsteen.
Okay, so you would go back in time to see Bruce in that era.
Born in the USA tour, I would see, or the reunion tour of the early 2000s. Those would be the two I'd see. I didn't know I could like time travel with this.
Yeah, you can time travel. You can.
So that like the Beatles are right, but they don't really do it for me. Like if somebody's like, I have a ticket to go back in time to see the Beatles, obviously I would say yes.
Yeah. But you're like, can we stop in the 80s so I can see Bruce? Yeah. I love that. That's the love of Bruce Springsteen fans. Like you're like anyone in the world, like Bruce, live or die, baby. I appreciate it. Any promotions that people can go see you, or promotions that they can go watch, like either as an IWTV or somewhere like can go check out some matches or content of you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on. There's a lot of me on IWTV. There's probably a lot of me on Fight. There's probably some of me on the Premier Network thing.
Yeah.
And like promotions coming up, I have Rad Pro Wrestling, which is kind of interesting. Like, you're a different character there. You like time travel to the 90s. So I'm a milkman. So I'm Big Milk.
I love the milkman idea.
That's a lot of fun.
Now, do you step it up and be like the ladies in the audience? You're like, hey, I'll be dropping the milk off at 4. Like, no, the joke that you're the milkman's kid.
Maybe I'll try that. Maybe I'll try that line out.
Yeah, you could be like a heel. You could be the evil milkman.
And it hasn't been announced, but I'll just say it because who fucking cares?
No one watches this.
I'm doing AIW in late August, so that's awesome. They're like,
a
big deal, you know. Then of course LVAC September 16th, Steel Stacks.
Totally. If you're in the area, do it.
Selling out, so like get your tickets.
And all of the previous LVAC shows, I believe, are all on IWTV. I'm actually almost guaranteed they're all on there, right?
Some. Not all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which ones are not?
There's the Steel Stack show from last year. There's the show you were at.
Where are those at?
The Weibacher show.
Yeah. Like, where can people watch them?
Oh, if not on IWTV, you have to buy that DVD. Physical media, baby.
Really?
Oh, big time physical media.
I did not know that.
Like the Sokol show, there might be like 4 on IWTV.
Because I thought that was filmed by IWTV that day.
Yeah. Some of the shows, like if it's something like the
brewery one, I thought brewery,
that'll be live streamed, and then that goes right to their on-demand library.
Yeah.
But like at Sokol's, like I said, it's a dive bar. They don't have that kind of Wi-Fi for live stream.
Yeah.
So Gary and his crew comes film it, and then it goes on DVD. Or you can like get the digital copy from SmartMark. Now, a handful of those shows are on IWTV.
Okay, so that's a smart move for SmartMark. They're very hard work. I love Gary. He's so cool. Gary's someone I want him on. So he's made me. I don't want to even say me. Brian goes to Tony Deppin's wrestling trivia, and Gary brings like him, Carolina Jim. I'm so sorry, I forget he is a ring announcer. He goes with them sometimes. And then No, another guy. There's another announcer guy,
Oh.
black glasses. I'm so sorry, I forgot your name. I'm having a brain fart. But essentially, all these guys go and everyone's just trying to beat Brian. And we just drink, and Brian just answers every question because he's a goddamn guru. And Brian got a question right of an independent question that Gary filmed and Caroline and Jim was a ring announcer for, and they didn't know the answer. But yeah, so Gary's always trying to take Brian down for his wrestling trivia, and I think he did it. They did it once. They beat him one time. So the joke is he's always trying to take Brian out. But Gary's a great guy. Gary's someone, and Caroline and Jim I'd love to have on here and have a chat. But upcoming shows, like I said, definitely go check out those promotions, LVAC on IWTV, as well as go to the show. Go to Steel Stacks if you're in the area. It's going to be unbelievable. And like I said, it will sell out fast. Last time was standing room only. And we can't say anything officially, but I will say this. If you are a fan of All Elite Wrestling and you like a lot of their superstars, I don't think there was an LVAC show that someone didn't show up. Previously, at least 2 shows I can say, Orange Cassidy was there. And Eddie Kingston was at the last Steel Stack show, if I'm not mistaken.
And Willow.
Who's that?
And Willow.
Oh, and Willow. Yes, and Willow was there. So Willow was at the brewery show too, but she was not signed yet at that brewery show. Right. Yeah. And she broke Hot Sauce Williams' face. I always say that. It's like Willow is a gangster. You don't mess with Willow. Another one who we absolutely love on this channel and support so much. Actually, I was at a convention, and the guy had this his own art. He did like all these wrestlers, and they're all like Sean, Vin, like all these old school guys. And his one independent drawing that he had was a Willow drawing.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like, I'm buying that. And I have yet to see her, obviously, because she's on to bigger and better things. But I have this guy's custom art of a Willow Nightingale. I'll send you a picture of it and send it to you. But I was like, I have to own this, because it's like the fact that he had all these wrestlers and the only independent person he had was Willow speaks volumes for how she is as a human being and how amazing she is as a person. But so if you like that crowd and you're into that, show up to the show. You never know who's going to be there.
You never know.
Yep, it's always a mystery. And Bryce is usually Bryce is there if he's not.
Sometimes he shows up, sure.
Yeah, sometimes but he's there a lot of times too. Big supporter of that crew. Anything you want to plug? Where can people find you on social media? Any last things you want to get out, Dan?
Where can people find me on social media? Instagram and Twitter. My Instagram name is I am Big Dan Champion, or no, it's I am Dan Champion.
I am Dan Champion.
And my Twitter name is,
I think it's Dan Champion 1.
No, I think it's Dan Champion 4.
4?
I think it's Dan Champion 4.
There's 3 other people you have to beat.
I got suspended a few times, so
really?
The names they gave me. Yeah, just writing stupid stuff.
Anything you could say?
No, it wasn't anything bad. It's like, I'm gonna punch this person in the face, and then I guess
okay.
Yeah. So you can't cut a promo. You can't work on Twitter. You got to keep it clean. You got to be nice to everybody. So I didn't get in trouble for anything outrageous. Just
I don't know if you told someone F you, buddy, or anything.
I did tell a local politician to jump off a bridge, and that got me in trouble.
He probably deserved it.
He did deserve it. So now I keep it clean on the Twitter/X. But yeah, I mean, I got nothing else to plug, but the shows I'm coming up.
Big Gav just joined the chat.
What the hell is Big
Gavin, who he comes to all the shows dressed as people.
Oh, what's up, Gavin? I know who he is.
Did you get a drawing?
I did get a drawing.
Oh, you've made it. That's it. I always tell people.
That's when I knew I made it.
If you get a Gav drawing, you have made it.
Great, love it.
Thank you so much for doing this, Dan. The door's always open. I really appreciate you coming on and doing this. Like I said, a fan of you as a human, as well as all the work you've done. And anytime you have anything going on, or you want to come talk about the next LVAC show, or if there's anyone on the roster you think would be a fun guest, bring them on. I'm always down to have people on and promote shows and hear their story. We will be back again on Monday the 14th. I'm going to announce next week's guest right here, so you guys are getting first access to it. So Monday, 7:00, Sean Carr will be on the podcast. Then on Tuesday at 7:00, Devontae will be on the podcast. And then on the 17th, I will not have a podcast that day. I will be at Pilgrim Brewing Company. They're watching the Fightertainment show. I've been calling it Fightacular, and that's not the name of it. It's Fightertainment. Already announced Junie, who's been on the podcast. They just announced Griffin McCoy and Jordan Oliver will be in attendance. So a lot of cool names being dropped there.
What the hell do you ask Junie? He's had like 5 matches.
Yeah, his kid's killing it. The kid's you should wrestle Junie.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about though?
Yeah, what's that?
Like, give me your favorite memory of your last 5 matches.
No, we learned how he in school he was a theater kid and how he puts his theater into professional wrestling.
I'm already over it.
You got heat. You and Junie 1-on-1, baby. Let's go. No, the guy's been doing amazing. Actually, in my opinion, the last show, I thought him and Speedball by Mike Bailey stole the show. I thought they had probably the best match of the night.
Good.
Yeah.
Junie's good.
Yeah, good kid. So that's pretty much it next week. Just 2 episodes. And then the last live episode of the month, I'll kind of give that to you guys here as well. So Monday will be the last live episode. Everything after that will be pre-recorded while I'm in the UK, rooting on AEW, hopefully future world champion Adam Cole, baby. But the last one will be on Monday. The following Monday will be Big Dust. Okay. That one is going to be out of control. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. 3 in a row this week. I know I hit you with a lot, but I appreciate you, everyone who keeps coming in the chat and hanging out and doing everything to support this. It means more than you know. But guys, we'll see you soon. We're out. Here's a song by the Converse kid, Billy Trey.